funded by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland with the television licence fee.
This is the Be Loud Glade, a series of experimental podcasts presenting views and opinions about the Irish contemporary poetry scene, from the vantage points of both page and stage, that is, from publishing and performance. Each program also includes a contemporary poem set to specially composed music. In this edition, we hear first from Edel Doran, organizer of Slam Sunday and many other poetry events, followed by the poem Leading the Apes in Hell by poet Mary O'Donoghue and voiced by Angel Hannigan with music by Roger Gregg.
For us in Ireland growing up, for the Leaving Cert for English, we'd study all these great poets and they'd be the really established, Yeats, Kavanagh. But it felt like it was being shoved down your throat. And also you were neglecting current poets. It was all focused on the past poets and honouring them, and definitely they've created great works, but what about the new stuff? Because that's the thing about poetry. Poetry explores, just like any form of art, relevant topics, current topics. It pushes social boundaries. So you're not learning about this when you're doing it for the Leaving Cert. You're not learning that this is an amazing art form that you can use to express your ideas or to, I suppose, criticize something that's happening or cause people to question, why are we allowing this? Like my friend John, he just kind of took pen to paper and wrote this amazing poem about the refugee crisis and the man who was in the tunnel between, I think it was England and France, and what was going through his head, and it was amazing, and that gets someone to think about the crisis around refugees. And then you're back to the Leaving Cert and you're just studying poems about Yeats being super miserable and we're all going to die, and just there's such a difference. I think it's like music, you've got different disciplines, so you do have the honour the old classics but also embrace the new. Like slam poetry is a totally different form of poetry to that. You need people to see that they're separate disciplines within poetry, and they both have something to contribute, but they're very different. And slam poetry is so alive. I had a different attitude before I got involved with Slam Sunday. It completely transformed how I could see poetry. I think it's important for people to maybe dip their toes in, and if you see a poster that says poetry, maybe go see it before you judge it. Like it's not all the one thing. I find that sometimes they give voice to what other people haven't been able to. So all of a sudden you have someone go up and speak about a subject and they kind of capture what you'd like to be said. And I suppose my favourite Slam Sunday show is when there's variety. We want to see people from all ages, different backgrounds, because I think they bring different themes and different subjects under the spotlight. Because if you have too many of the same type, that can kind of make it seem like it's just about this. So I like when it's broad and it's open, you've got people of all ages doing poetry, so that you can kind of learn from each other as well. So it's not just focused on one thing. And I guess slam poetry, part of it is personal. It's someone standing up, they're expressing themselves, they're putting themselves completely out there in the spotlight for everyone. So it's kind of, they're being vulnerable in a way as well, and that's something you have to respect. Or if they're raising awareness about something that exists that needs to be changed, sometimes poetry can be a very effective way to, I suppose, protest. So you'll have people who will bring these really good social issues to the forefront, but then you'll have someone come in and they'll just have a poem about, God, maybe they're just looking outside their garden and this is what they write. So it's that difference that I love. There's that thing about poetry and sharing it, but I mean, there's sometimes I'll just write a poem because I want to about something, and it's maybe just for me, and it's really good. I don't mean the poem, but it's really good for me, kind of, it's like a release. So yeah, I think to encourage people to pick up a pen and paper and just see what happens. Now I've gotten shy and quiet.
The phrase refers to the fate of a woman who dies unmarried. 'Tis an old proverb, and you know it well, that women, dying maids, lead apes in hell. Such a tumult greeted my descent, filling my head with chittering, gibbering shrieks, ripping the heat with sounds of tires skidding. Legions of gibbons lined the thoroughfare, over them bunting and streamers melting, dripping hot plastic onto their hair. The naked apes I knew in my life, all yobs, feet stinking, wild, drinking, the cheating. So I waited to govern gorillas, give them jobs, have my gangbusters break up their meetings. The sedulous apes were my minions, the best spies, easy bribes, little shits. Brought me back plots and punic opinions. They followed orders and carried out hits. I nursed a chimpanzee for 3 weeks, smacked the monk's bald patch off his bum. The feature of my frock was spotted with leaks. At 4 months, he ate top of my thumb. Orangutans were the dullest of students, drug-eyed, hippie-haired, walking on knuckles, but who, well-versed in back-chat and impudence. So I legislated the belt and the buckle. Trials drew crowds, sure as a putrid smell. The accused were imprisoned in lava rock huts and faced public floggings, but this being hell, even the brassiest monkeys held on to their nuts. And so I've held power for eons and eons. I'm a force with whom to be reckoned. If beckoned, the servants will come on all fours. Their wrinkled leather fingers will rid me of lice. They tell news of who comes through our city doors. Their loyalty is far beyond price. These, my flunkies. Softly, very softly, eye-catching my monkeys.
That was Mary O'Donoghue's poem Leaving the Apes in Hell, published by Daedalus Press and set to music composed and performed by Roger Gregg and voiced by Angel Hannigan, with extra percussion by Andy O'Farrell. Find out more about Mary O'Donoghue at DaedalusPress.com, and you can find Slam Sunday on Facebook. Originally broadcast by RTE Lyric FM and funded by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland, Roger Gregg's Be Loud Glade is a Dead Medium production with executive producer Gareth Stack.
You lot aren't ready for bingo. Just give me a second.